welcome back, knitters. This is Jana with Purl Together. In today's video, we're going to go over block 12 of our long-term knit-along of Norah's Vintage Afghan. So the link to the pattern is down below. Also, if you are just joining us and you haven't started on any of the blocks yet, that's totally fine. You can jump in whenever you like. However, I would watch the Afghan prep video, the preparation video that I did before we began. Watch that first. Now, you want to make sure that you have downloaded the most current version of Norah's Vintage Afghan. I believe that's version 7, but double check. Okay, before we get started, I want to express my gratitude with a big public thank you to 5 new patrons we have this time. Pat Neff, April Davis, Fern Wilcox, Carla Monaco, and Mike Kottcamp. Thanks so much for all your support. We couldn't do it without you. If you want to know how you can become involved in our patron group, head on over to patreon.com/Purl Together and see what I'm offering for your pledge of support each month. There are perks available to you for helping out the channel, and that's what allows us to bring you these videos each and every week. All right, let's get started on block 12. Okay, I'm beginning block 12. This is the Madeline Tosh Vintage Worsted Weight in composition book colorway. I really like the variegation of it quite a bit. So the first 4 rows are just garter stitch, just knit back and forth each one. And then this is the row 5, which is knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, adding a little texture across the way. And then rows 6 through 9 is just knitting. So we're adding a couple more ridges of garter stitch. So now I'm on row 10, which is the increase row as indicated. We need to knit 1, make 1, knit 2, make 1 27 times. So I'll show you real quick, as I have in all the other previous videos, how I have followed the instructions on the pattern. Rather than doing my regular lifted increase, I'm going to make 1 by lifting up this bar, and then I put it on the left side, and then I knit into the back of it so that it twists it and closes any resulting hole potentially. So that's the knit 1, make 1, and then we're going to knit 2, make 1. Again, we're lifting that bar, knitting into the back. If you don't have really pointy needles like I do, you can go in the front and then kind of roll your needles around and then have this right hand needle into the back to knit and into it and twist it. So knit 2, make 1 all the way across, and then you'll end with a knit 2 and have 85 stitches resulting. I always double check after an increase row to make sure I have the required number of stitches. You definitely don't want to start your cable pattern with the wrong number. Okay, I finished my increase row, and I have double checked that I do in fact have the required 85 stitches going across here. Now, normally this would be row 11 or an odd numbered row when you begin where your tail is, where your cast on tail. However, and it is row 11, but it's also going to be row 1 on the chart. And rather than being on the right side like normal, we are beginning the chart on the wrong side. So what that means is that you're going to start knitting from left to right, going across here, and then you're going to move up a row and go across like this, and go up and go across like this. Now, if you're new to reading charts, working back and forth is different than working in the round. So you'll want to check out my video on learning to read knitting charts. If you need some help with that, I'll put the links in the description down below. So just keep in mind that we're starting over here and we're knitting from D to C. And this note is indicated here. On the wrong side, you're going to work to D to C, then B, then go back to where the red line is and repeat the section in between the red lines as many times as required until you end at A. So just read through your chart notes, read the key, just be really mindful. So I'm just going to go through and do these first 3 rows. So that's pretty straightforward. Purls and knits, and the little ribbon kind of a twisty symbol is just knitting through the back loop or purling through the back loop. Okay, I've worked through those first 7 stitches here on row 1. And when you purl through the back loop, it just feels a little counterintuitive because you have to reach a little further, kind of angle your needle over like this. Go into the back side of that stitch and purl. Now all that does is twist the stitch in the same way that knitting through the back loop twists it on the right side. So when you view it, it's a little more opened up and it's easily seen. So just carry on across that row, repeating the area between the red lines. And then I'll come and show you what's going to happen when we get to row 4, and we'll address what this first blue symbol means. All right, I'm just beginning row 4, and I've worked those first 3 stitches knit 1, purl 2, and I've reached the blue symbol, which is a cable 2 over 2 to the left. So I'm going to slip the first 2 and hold them to the front. Then the symbol instructions ask me to purl the next 2 from the working, purl the next 2 here. Then we're simply going to pull over the stitches on the cable needle and knit those off. Now, if you'll look at the blue symbol, you can tell that there's going to be some purls involved there because of the dot indicated. So, and you know that it's a left cross because those lines lean to the left. Now we're going to do the one where we purl through the back loop here. And then we're going to work the green symbol, which we know just by looking at it, even without reading the directions, we know it's going to be a 2 over 2 cross to the right, because we can tell that it's worked over the course of 4 stitches. So we slip 2 to the cable needle and hold them to the back, knit the next 2 stitches, and then we'll purl those off the cable needle. And we knew that was going to happen because of the dot, that the purl dot that's part of that green symbol indicates that at least 1 stitch in the working of this will be purled. Okay, simple. Then we're going to purl this one through the back loop as shown by the twisted stitch symbol there. Now I'll show you how to do the blue symbol without a cable needle. If you choose to do that, you'll want to bring your yarn to the front, go in behind these 2 stitches here, making sure that you're not catching the back leg of either of those. Go in behind here, and work your right hand needle underneath and inside in those 2 stitches so that you can pinch the first 2 with your thumb against your right needle, slip those off, bring those off as well, and bring your left needle right around so that you can catch those 2 again. So all we're doing is changing positions here with the stitches and put those back on so that you can work them. So those 2 are going to be purled. Those are the ones that would have come off the cable needle. And then we'll knit these 2. Or sorry, these knit 2 ones would have been the ones coming off the cable needle that we would have held to the front. All right, then we'll purl this through the back loop. That's our twisted stitch in between our cables here. Okay, then the green symbol, if we want to do that one without a cable needle, we're going to go into the front and go in on the bottom of those knit stitches here, pressing these 2 purl stitches to the back of the right hand needle, slip the left needle out, and then put it right back in, picking those 2 back up. And again, we've just changed positions, pulling those 2 across the front. We'll knit those 2, and then we'll purl the ones that would have been held to the back by the cable needle. And then we're just going to carry on across the row in that same way. We're going to purl through the back loop here, or sorry, knit through the back loop. Oh goodness, I might need to go back and switch those ones I messed up. Yep, you know what? I'm going to show you how to fix that. Let me go show you how I'm going to fix those without taking out the cables that I've already done. So if you make a mistake like I just did, whoops, I'm just going to slip everything back to where I made those mistakes. And if you viewers are astute, you will have seen that I did that twice. Actually, I'm going to go all the way back to here and show you how I'm going to fix that. It happens, you know, just because I'm making videos doesn't mean I don't make mistakes, obviously. So let's go back to, where was it? Right here is the first one I messed up. And I'll show you how I'm going to fix that without tinking back my cables. Okay, there's the first one, and I just want that to be a knit, and it's twisted. So I'm going to go in underneath and grab that purl bump. Okay, we know we want it to be a knit, but the thing is that the stitch that I've picked up here, it's already twisted. So I'm going in underneath to make sure this bump comes around to this other side. I can tell that stitch is already twisted. So I'm not going to try to twist it yet again. I'm just going to make that into a knit stitch. And then I'm going to slip everything back over to where I made the next mistake. let's see where, oh, here's the next mistake. Okay, I'm going to leave it on the right hand side. I'm going to go in under and grab the purl bump, taking that stitch out. But to do a knit, I'm going to want this strand to be on the right hand side of the stitch. So I'm just going to lift it back up and over. Again, you can tell that stitch is already twisted. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to lift it up and over and make that into a knit stitch. Yay! So that's how I fixed all that without having to tink back cables. Because, you know, cables, you can tink them back. Certainly you can undo it the same way that you did it, but it's just not that easy. So this is much quicker and more efficient than tinking back all those cables, right? So I think part of learning to be proficient with your knitting is learning how to fix your own mistakes, just kind of, you know, sorting that out. Okay, there we go. Use a crochet hook if you need to. I just kind of rearrange stuff with my fingers. Okay, now that's a purl stitch that came off that cable. So, and that was leaning to, let's see, which way have we been leaning here? Left, right, left, right. So that was a green one. So now we've done the knit through the back loop twisted stitch. So now we're ready. Now we're gonna do the left leaning one where we're gonna go in underneath here, underneath those two purl stitches, pressing the knit stitches to the needle, grab those up and pull them to the left. And I need to purl these. Knit these, do my twisted knitting through the back loop there, and carry on. So the other thing that occurs to me as I'm going along here is if you are doing your cables and you know there's that twisted knit stitch in between your cable maneuvers, like here's one right here, and you, I don't know, I like to find a way to remind myself of where I'm at without having to, you know, count squares or follow the chart stitch by stitch by stitch. Well, I know that the cable that's going to be coming up is a left cross because the purl ones occur first here. So I know I want to hold those to the front and make them go across the front. Never in this row do we have purl stitches coming across the front. So I know that that's going to be a left leaning 2/2 cable because the knit stitches are the next thing that I need to work. All right, then I'll do my knit through the back loop there. And now I know, even without looking at my chart, I know that I have a 2/2 leaning to the right because the purl stitches come first. And I'm gonna, if I were using a cable needle, I would hold those to the back and then I would get these next two knit stitches and bring those across the front, leaning to the right. So I know that's what has to happen next because I only have 2 cable maneuvers on this whole row. One that goes to the left and one that goes to the right. So I hope that makes sense so that you can, you know, you can visit with people without having to look at your patterns so much. You can, I don't know, maybe watch a movie. I just like to work out ways of thinking about things where I don't have to be, you know, constantly looking from my work to the pattern, from my work to the pattern. And I think the, you know, the project goes more quickly and more smoothly if I'm able to do that. So now we know that since I have knit stitches next after I twisted that middle one, that has to lean to the left. So I hope that helps. I'm going to finish working row 4 and then easily enough we'll do 5, 6, and 7 on your own and I'll show you the cable maneuver on row 8. All right, I've worked the first 5 stitches of knits and purls here on row 8 and now I'm ready to begin looking at the cable maneuver for that pink symbol. So the instructions tell us to slip 3 stitches to the cable needle and hold them to the back. Okay, so we're just going to do it first with the cable needle so you can see how the whole thing's going to work. And then we're going to knit the next 2 stitches and slip this last stitch from the cable needle back to the left hand needle. Now, because that is going to end up to be the center one in this whole operation. All right, then we're going to knit that through the back loop, kind of, you know, in keeping with the sequence of 5 that we have been doing where we, you know, twist that one in the middle. And then we knit 2 from the cable needle. So I'm not sure if there's a really good, easy way to be doing this particular operation without the use of a cable needle. I'm not sure I would want to go
try that. Then I'm just going to do the 2 purls, knit through the back loop to again, because we're twisting that center line. As you can see how that's starting to become a clear ridge up the middle of those panels. Okay, then we're going to do this cable thing again, where we slip 3 to the back. 1, 2, 3. Knit the next 2. Now I can see where I don't know that I'm even going to try to sort that out doing this without a cable needle. I think that would probably use up more of my brain cells than I have available at the moment. Yeah, definitely leave me a comment down below or shoot me a picture or a video in the upload in the Facebook group if you figure out a good way to go about this without a cable needle. But since we're rearranging the order of the stitches on the cable needle, yeah, I don't know how you would do that while you're like holding them or pressing them against your, yeah, I don't know about that. So I think I'm going to opt out of that one. If you want to try it, feel free. You're the boss. Then I'm just going to work the 5 that contain the purls with knitting through the back loop of that center one and carry on. You doing the pink maneuver all the way across row 8. And then row 12 is the same. Row 12 is the same sequence that we were doing in row 4. It's just reversed in the reversed order. And so then I'll see you back on row 16 and I'll show you how to do that. In the meantime, I'll show you, let me show you the pink maneuver once more. So slip 3 and hold them to the back. Knit the next 2, because this operation is worked over 5 stitches. Now the last one you put on the cable needle, you're going to put back onto the left working needle, knit that one through the back loop. That becomes the one that we've in the center that we've been twisting this whole time. And then knit this off, those last 2 off the cable needle. Okay, so that is a right leaning 3/2 with that twisty one in the center. Okay, I will see you back in a few minutes for the yellow symbol on row 16. Okay, as you've guessed, on row 16, this yellow symbol that's come up here is just going to be the opposite of the pink one. It's just going the opposite direction. So we're just going to slip 3 stitches to the cable needle and hold them to the front, and then knit 2. And then just like we did before, we're going to take that last stitch from the cable needle back over onto the left hand working needle. Knit into the back loop of that to give it that twist. And then knit the 2 from the cable needle. So pretty straightforward, but I still haven't figured out how to maneuver all of that safely without dropping anything without using the cable needle. Okay, so then we're just going to do the purl section with the twisted knit stitch in the middle, and then go ahead and do that cable maneuver again, holding those 3 to the front, knitting the next 2. Now this is the same stitch that we've been, the same column that we've been twisting all along. If you look here, that's this knit column, and that's the same one that we've just slipped back onto the left hand working needle to knit through the back loop. So we're just keeping consistent with the column of knit stitches that we're twisting. And then we do the 5 stitches that is the purl section with that twisted in between, and do the cable, the yellow cable again. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and knit through the chart. I think we do it 4 times and then a partial 5th time. So I'll get a good whiz in and show you how things are looking in a little while. All right, I've knitted through the chart 4 times. I have 7 rows left, but I'm really kind of digging. I didn't really realize how this was going to be when I first started, and I'm really liking kind of the X motif with those twisted columns. This is that twisted stitch in the middle of those, 5 stitch sections every time. So that's going to look really cool when it's blocked, actually. And I love this yarn so much. I think the variegation's just beautiful. And again, this is the Madeline Tosh Vintage, I believe. Let me see. And the colorway for this one is Composition Book Gray. And yeah, this is the Tosh Vintage. I have knitted through the chart 4 times plus that other 7 rows. And now I'm just going to finish off by doing the decrease row back down to the prescribed number of stitches, and then the 9 rows just as we did in the very beginning here. Do our regular bind off and block it.
Okay, I have to say that I found block 12 to be just a little bit tedious. I think for me it was because I wasn't able to sort out a good method of doing those more complicated 5-stitch cables without using a cable needle. So I was constantly having to like tuck it behind my ear and put it down and, you know, use the cable needle on each row that required that, which was really only 2 rows out of the 16, I believe. Still, I found block 12 to be a little tedious. Having said that, though, I really like how it turned out, and I think it looks really cool to have that, you know, kind of crisscross pattern, but then have that defined twisted stitch line running up through the X's, if you will. So I think it was a neat addition to, you know, the previous 11 blocks, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it integrates into the blanket overall. Thanks for watching, and if you find these videos to be helpful, be sure to hit the thumbs up like button and click that little bell for notifications so you don't ever miss a video that comes out on the channel. All right, thanks so much.